WildCard weekend is in the books. And oh my God, who do we have here on the Football is Sexy podcast? My favorite, the man, needs no introduction, the legend, the GOAT of all sports, but especially football, Michael Welbon.
Very nice of you. Man.
I mean,
that's some introduction.
Well,
for somebody who needs no introduction, that's a hell of an introduction.
And no introduction, but we have some newbies. So we will say you are an ESPN analyst, the NBA Countdown, and literally my favorite show, you are the co-host of Pardon the Interruption.
I have been since its inception, and it just means we're old.
Oh my God.
That's
no.
what it means.
No.
I've been watching you forever. I told Diana I couldn't believe it. Like, literally, that is my go-to.
Thank you.
That is my go-to.
I'm honored.
I love it.
Seriously.
And I usually agree with you.
That might be bad judgment on your
part. That's scary. I know.
It might be.
But listen, we are so excited to have you. Thank you for following Football Sexy on your social media. Thank you for being here and letting the girls, Sanaz and Mshay, talk WildCard, playoffs,
That's
NFL.
Good. This is good.
Let's get into it.
This is much better company than I'm accustomed to.
Well, tell Tony we said hi.
Oh, okay.
Tell Tony we said hi.
Yes.
And if Tony ever, can't make it,
if he wanders out of his house, which he hasn't done
if
in about
Tony wants
3
to come on
years,
here and try to, outdo you today,
I'd fly him out if he wants to try that.
Fighting words.
Well, listen, there's so much we could talk about, but I really think we need to kick it off with the Eagles.
Yeah, we do.
The Eagles and Tampa Bay. What are your thoughts? Were you able to watch the game? Because I know sometimes you're flying.
No, I was flying, but I was not going to miss that game. The Eagles were defeated, to quote Troy Aikman. Troy summed up the game with one sentence. Not the game, but the Eagles' predicament, the situation where they are.
Yeah.
When he just said they're a defeated team and they were that way when they got here.
Right.
Wow.
And you see it on Jalen Hurts' face. He just looked.
It did.
He just looked like how they were playing. I mean, you could just see it literally on his face, and you felt their frustration, you felt their sadness. And it was this implosion. You could just kind of see it. It's like from the inside out that we're seeing something misaligned. And it's just so interesting.
And we've been seeing it for 5 games at
for
least.
More than a month.
The same. And we were talking about this on our podcast last week. I'm like, can I see a different face from Jalen? And maybe it's just the cameraman, but every time that they show Jalen.
It reflects what, just like you said, what they feel. Excuse me for coughing for a second. But it reflects that team's lack of spirit. They are dispirited.
Right.
And so, sadly, we're in an era now where analytics rule and people get into the specifics without seeing the overarching issues that go on with a player, with a team, with a coach, with a dynamic. And they don't see that. The Eagles' issues are not schematic.
Right.
The Eagles are defeated. Mm-hmm. They're dispirited. They are Jalen Hurts' face. They are that.
Yes.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter the schemes. It doesn't matter the personnel groupings and the strategic ins and outs. They're dispirited. They're out. And I can't imagine they're not going to make major changes.
Right. I mean, Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was poo-pooing the whole Nick Sirianni could be fired thing. It just sounds crazy that a team could be 10-1 and stumble, and then you fire a coach 11 months after his team was in the Super Bowl.
Right.
but
Philadelphia is an impatient place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the fan base is impatient. The owner, Jeffrey Lurie, is impatient. Mm-hmm. They're not the first team to crash like this. The Patriots just did it in 2019.
Yeah.
Where they had a 10-1 or 11-0 start and lost in the first round of the playoffs. So it happens. But, man.
But can we give a little credit to Tampa Bay? Yeah. Because Tampa Bay came into this season and said, we want a top 10 quarterback at a discount price. And did they get that with Baker Mayfield?
No.
Come on. What do you mean no?
I like his answer.
They didn't
See?
get a top 10 quarterback. They got a guy who gave them everything he has, which is enough.
Okay.
But if I'm making a trade today for a quarterback who's available, Am I picking up Baker Mayfield? No. Baker Mayfield's been terrific. So there's two
career season.
It's a career season, but it's not a great career.
It's still not enough.
No, it may be enough. Like, so they're going to go into Detroit now. Does that mean that I want Baker Mayfield ahead of Jared Goff? No.
Okay.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
Baker Mayfield deserves nothing but flowers. Nothing but it doesn't mean he's a great quarterback. It doesn't mean he's going to be a great quarterback going forward. Like, so when Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, they had a quarterback who won a Super Bowl, and no one knows who he is.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I know who he is because he worked for the network for about 10 years, but nobody knows that. And so you can have a great season, and it doesn't necessarily equate to your career. But Baker Mayfield, to your point, he's had a hell of a
You don't
run
even
this
top
year.
10 him?
No. Top
guys.
10 Baker
maybe
Mayfield?
not top 20.
I'm with you.
Maybe not.
I'm with you.
Maybe not. He's
Bro, he had
He is a
ribs.
Band-Aid.
He had taped
No.
up ankles.
yes, all true. Guts. There's nothing but praise. It's like take a bow at Baker Mayfield. But if I rank the quarterbacks today,
Okay.
am I ranking him in my top 10? Not close.
No.
He may be in the top 20, but I'm not even sure.
I just mean this season. Top 10
Not
this
even
season.
this
Baker
season.
Baker is a Band-Aid.
We can do 10 quarterbacks off the top of our head. You would take ahead of Baker Mayfield.
Don't
I
listen.
wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
Don't listen to her. She's a Charger fan.
Yeah.
Right there.
Wouldn't
Seriously.
you take your quarterback?
Oh, Herbert, the future?
Of
Absolutely.
course you would.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course you would. Wouldn't you take C.J. Stroud, the rookie, over
even
Baker
get me
Mayfield?
started.
Yes, you would. There's a whole slew of quarterbacks. Would you take Patrick Mahomes? Of course you would.
Yes.
We got 3 just before we get to one sentence and a breath.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just not that hard. Who else in the playoffs? Would you take Josh Allen? Yes. Would you take the former MVP for the Ravens, Lamar? Yes, you're going to take Lamar. Would you now take Jordan Love? Yes, you would take
Right.
Jordan Love.
Wait.
Huh? Well, who else? Who else is up there on the board? Would you take Dak Prescott? Yes, you would, even though he had that game.
We're going to get there.
So would you take Jalen Hurts? Would you take
Even with
No.
his faces. Even with his faces.
even with the
right, even with his faces. By the way, I was on the podcast last week, and I was on here saying I will never. There's no way I'm going to go for Baker Mayfield to make it to the. Guess what? I changed my mind, and I picked. So we have a pick'ems in our app, and I picked
hell of a
the
game.
Tampa Bay Bucks because last minute I'm like, they're going to beat the Eagles.
He's got guts.
They're going to beat them.
But I
Yeah.
like
What
that
he
he
did
was
yesterday.
rallying the wide receivers, even after
Yeah.
drop passes, saying, I still believe in you. You can do this, guys. Like,
Listen.
he kept the team going.
You know what won't matter is any kind of ranking if he goes into Detroit and wins that game.
Oh, my goodness.
Don't even get me
Ranking be
started.
damned. I mean, you know, do I think they'll win that game? No, but I didn't think they beat Philadelphia last night either.
Oh, see, I
did.
made that
You did?
choice last
Yeah,
minute.
well, you
you
guys
know
were a lot
why?
smarter than
You
me
know
on
why?
this.
Because I kept picking the Eagles for the last
Every week?
every week. And I'm like, you know what?
You're frustrated.
What did they say?
I was
You
like,
are
enough.
showing me who you are. When am I going to believe? You are showing me that you
I
can't
didn't
win a
believe
game.
until last night when it was after the second score. So it was 10-0. And then it went to what? 10-3. And then when the Eagles got down 2 scores, I was just like, this is the same deal. We're not moving off this. And part of the reason I picked the Eagles is because I thought Baker Mayfield was too banged up to be effective.
You weren't worried about Jalen's finger?
Not as much. And he took the glove off right
Yeah.
as the game
Right.
started, which was kind of weird. They just
It's
there's,
just a-
there's all kinds of little stuff you can point to, but to me, the Eagles is the big stuff.
When
They're dispirited.
when they did not get in with the push, the
Oh,
tush push.
yeah.
That was
a
it.
huge moment.
Right? Was
That's
that
huge.
it?
Yes.
That was the end of the
Yes.
Eagles as an era.
Because
right there.
Right?
personally, I hadn't seen the tush push fail. I know there have been a couple times they've been stopped all year, but I had not seen it live.
Yeah.
And to be watching that moment live last night when Hurts gets stopped at the 1 or inside the 1.
Yeah, that just summed it up.
It
Yeah.
did sum it up.
Right?
Yeah.
That
Give
just
it up
summed
to
it up.
Todd Bowles and the defense, though.
Yes.
Come
Well,
on.
And-
Absolutely.
And to talk about the tush push for just a second, I couldn't, as a Niner fan, I'm like, we better be ready for that. And I'm thinking, Kyle, you better have called every rugby coach and figure out how to stop this. And just looking at it, I'm like, why don't we all just drop to the ground
Yeah.
and just get low, like literally just flop? And guess what they did? That's exactly what happened.
Yes.
We should be coaching. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I learned. We should be coaching a
I hear
football
there's some
sexy
openings,
team.
so.
Let's do it.
There might be an opening in Philly.
Right? Exactly.
Could
well,
be.
before we go on to the next game, I feel like we should talk about Kelce because he announced this morning he was retiring. And
Jason Kelce did it. While I was flying, Jason Kelce announced he's
yes,
retiring.
see,
Yes,
breaking news to
Breaking
Michael
news.
Welbon.
Breaking news it
He
is.
is retiring, and I'm telling you, the social media.
He looked like it last night. Speaking of looks on faces,
right.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
Walking away.
that look was reflective and contemplative,
Yep.
and like, okay, what's up with dude?
How much work can it physically take, right? He's been so injured.
Is he
been very
40?
vocal
Did he turn
about it.
40?
He's 38.
38. Okay.
38, 13 seasons, one Super
Go to the Hall
Bowl.
of Fame.
Such a good guy.
Yeah.
And I posted about, you know what? He did so much for the O-line. He brought sexy to the offensive line, to the big guys. He just brought a different, I think, vibe and energy to football.
Class
and so
act.
classy guy. And I'm happy
Shaking
for him.
hands after the game.
Just a nice
you know?
guy. I've never met him, but
he's going straight to the Hall of Fame.
100%.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably millions of people out there who think his brother apparently has brought sexy to football because he's
Don't
the
get
one,
me
he's the
started
one
on
with
Taylor
the
Swift
with the
over
famous
here.
girlfriend. But good for Jason Kelce. Congratulations to him on a Hall of Fame career.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears.
Okay.
Let's talk about, not for long,
you wanna do?
the Steelers and the Bills game.
Oh, okay.
You were flying.
I was. I was on air. I was on camera.
Oh, you were on camera.
So once they switched that game because of weather reasons to mid-afternoon on a Monday, some of us were out of it. It was, there are very few playoff games I've missed in the last 15 years, almost none.
Wow.
But because they're cleared out, we're not opposite them.
Yeah.
Well, there's sometimes Countdown could be opposite, but Countdown we're still watching. We got a bank of TVs on, but we're on the air yesterday, Tony and I, and all of a sudden we couldn't talk about that game
right.
because it was ongoing, and there are probably dozens of people only watching us yesterday against the NFL game.
And if you don't mind, I'd love to ask you, when you are watching games, I'm sure that you're watching games from home, your phone. Like, is it just like, are you usually watching in a specific place?
Yeah.
Are you taking notes,
Yeah.
or you just kind of like remember
That's a
everything?
great question. No phone. I'm too old for that. I don't watch games on devices.
You're right.
It's too small.
That's what the damn
Too small.
TV's for.
Right.
I don't understand two generations of people who want to watch things on something small. I want a 900-inch television.
Right.
So no, I have a man cave in each place that I call home.
Okay.
With 3 large flat screens in front of my face,
Okay.
and I'm watching either in Bethesda, Maryland, suburban DC, or in Scottsdale, Arizona. So that's where I spend Sunday now. After spending Sunday in press boxes at games
Right.
for 30 years.
Wow.
For the last since 2010, what is that, 13? I'm in front of those TVs, and now with my teenage son, who we're yelling and screaming at each other during games.
Lil
which is the
Bon?
highlight of he ain't little at 6'1".
Oh my gosh, he's
So,
61.
grew up.
Yeah, he grew up.
They're not supposed to do that.
He grew up. So that's the thing. I try to, no matter where I am, I try to be home on Sunday because I missed that. And I still do. I didn't see my own son on Christmas Day until he was 7 years old.
Wow.
So we're in studios. We're at games.
Now, is he a Bears fan as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you had to make sure, right?
No, you
No?
know what? Those are the games he went to. Those are the games I took him to. He got to an age where he gets to pick games. Now he gets to pick a game every year or 2 games, 1 road, 1 home.
Nice.
And so he goes to the schedule and picks his game.
How cool.
And so he, I didn't have to make sure, but I'm glad it worked out that way. It's
It wasn't
something
a
to have in
rival team.
common.
It wasn't a Viking
He can't
team.
be a Packers fan.
If he's a Packer fan, he's out of inheritance.
Right. There we go. 100%.
Ass is written out. if
I'm
he's a
with
Packer
you.
fan.
I'm with you. Well, there wasn't a lot to talk about. Would you guys say? I mean, the Bills just overran the Steelers.
What happened? So give me a synopsis
Here's what
of Bills.
happened.
Tell her.
Rudolph and Pickens could not get it together. Okay. The Steelers have not won a playoff game in, I think, their last
7 years?
7 years? Yeah. Like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. They just couldn't figure it out. The Bills figured it out. We're going to score quick and we're going to score fast. And defensively, they were just on top of everything. Josh Allen is an amazing quarterback. He knows how to air that ball out when he needs to.
What Madden
What do you want me to say?
Right?
The Steelers didn't show up, and nobody thought the Steelers were going to show up.
Well, in their defense, they had Mason Rudolph at the
backup
helm,
right?
So
A
you have the backup quarterback.
Everybody's got a backup quarterback in right now, though.
But this point scoring was interesting. It was 14 in the first quarter by Buffalo, right? And after that, it was the same. It was 7-7, 3-3, 7-7. So it was one early, like you said, that first quarter made the difference.
The first quarter, the Bills scored 2 touchdowns within 3 minutes.
Come on.
Okay.
Like it was, they were kind
hungry.
of like, oh, here we go.
See, that's all I knew was we were on camera, and during a commercial break, I just said to one of our producers, "Is there a score in the Bills game?" Yeah, 14-0. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that doesn't always hold up. It certainly held up against the Cowboys, but it doesn't always hold up. But look, Buffalo is a team that people thought coming into the season could be a threat in the AFC. Everybody said the AFC's loaded. Well, the reason they said it's loaded is because of Kansas City, because of the Ravens, because of the Bengals, who obviously, speaking of backup quarterbacks, got their quarterback hurt, because of Buffalo. And so Buffalo is playing up to that now at the right time. It doesn't matter that they didn't play up to it in October.
Right.
They're playing up to it now.
Yeah.
And I think we got to bring up, I don't know if you saw the press conference with Mike Tomlin.
I heard about it. I was
He wasn't having
I was
it.
traveling. He just turned and walked when somebody mentioned the last year's contract. And for Mike, who is unbelievably not just poised, but engaged.
Yep.
During news conferences of all kinds. Yeah. He is, my dear friend and co-host Tony Kornheiser calls Tomlin flamboyantly articulate. And he's just he's in control of the language as few coaches in any sport have ever been.
Yeah.
Tomlin's that good.
Right. Yeah.
And for him to turn and walk, we just wonder what that's about. So who knows? The news, we were all waiting for Jerry Jones to announce something. Maybe the Steelers announce something.
Right. Well, I've said for a long time, as much as I love the Steelers, they were my second team growing up because I couldn't watch the 49ers. It was before cable. You had like few options, right? And so it was either I was watching the Steelers or the Cowboys.
You are not old enough to be pre-cable.
Oh, I am.
You are.
I love this.
Sadly, I am. Oh my God, I remember Landry on the sidelines.
Okay,
just to give you an idea. But thank you, I'll take that. But I've been saying I love Mike, but I kept thinking like, yes, you're a winning coach, but at what point do we want a ring? And at what point do we say maybe we just need a change of scenery? I don't know. What are your thoughts on Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Mike came in. He was
season.
like 34 years old when he got the job. Maybe he might have gotten it earlier than he thought he was going to arrive. And I'm not in corner offices with coaches like I used to be years and years ago. Tom Landry.
Oh wow!
So no, I'm old enough to go way back through all of that.
You look great.
Thank you. And so Tomlin, I don't know what motivates Mike. It's interesting with the Steelers. I mean, Chuck Noll was there forever and left, and that was it. He left. He didn't come back. There was none of that. Bill Cowher, people thought he was going to come back after he went to television. There's no coming back. I ran into Bill once, and he said, listen, I'm going to tell you right now so you don't speculate every week. I love my life.
Yeah.
And he, too, had missed seeing a family and got to see his girls. And he said, I'm not coming back. And he never did. And so now Mike has done this for 17 years. I don't know sort of what motivates him. But it's going to be hard to go anywhere else and coach. The Steelers gave Mike what he want. They gave him everything. What did he get? Did he get to 2 Super Bowls? Did he go 1-1 in Super Bowls?
Yes.
He won 1.
Right.
And it's hard when you're part of the Steeler organization and that ownership group, the family, not group, the family, to go and work for who? Who are you going to go work for where you have that kind of feel?
Right.
That kind of go to work. When Dan Rooney was alive, there were times where I would stay at a certain hotel and you walk to the game on Sunday, you walk to the stadium and the owner, Dan Rooney's walking.
Wow.
And you're like, damn, what are you doing? He was like, this is what I do. I walk to the games.
I love that.
Wow.
And
That's
so
amazing.
so Mike's been a part of that now for 16, 17 years, whatever it is. That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard.
Well, judging from him walking away after that question, there's something there,
Something
right?
there. There's something
Yeah.
going on.
There's
There's fire.
something
There's
there.
not just smoke. There's fire.
some
Did
fire.
you hear Josh Allen also speaking of press conferences? What he said? He said that he was glad now that other teams were in the position that they have been in for so long, right? For the last 7 weeks, he said that they have been performing in this do or die situation, and now it's equal. Now everyone's in that same
True. He
position.
He said we're comfortable
True.
because we've been uncomfortable for so long.
I love that.
he's used to
I
it.
loved that,
And
Yeah.
I thought that was, a great thing to
They ought to have that. They ought to feel really good about what they've got this week.
yes.
I mean, they've lost to the Chiefs there. Patrick Mahomes has never played in a playoff game on the road. And so now the Bills get him at home.
This
Do
is
something
gonna-
about it.
This is going to be interesting. Actually, that's a good segue. Dolphins, Chiefs.
Bills Chiefs.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're going back.
We're going
back to
backwards.
Dolphins,
Yeah, I
Chiefs.
was
My
looking at the
bad.
net. No, my bad. Did you see the Dolphins versus the Chiefs
Yeah,
game?
there was no. That's the one I got right. I got some stuff terribly wrong this week, including the Eagles, picking the Eagles. But no, the Dolphins had no chance. The Dolphins were not going to go into a place where it was -4 and minus 27 wind chill, because people look. I grew up in that. I understand, having grown up in Chicago, what that is. And when you're going to the dry cleaners, you go to the PTA meeting, you go to work to start your car, and it doesn't start because the lock is frozen, and you have to have something called
imagine.
lock fall, which
No.
you guys wouldn't know about. I know about this stuff. The Miami Dolphins don't know about it,
Right.
and so they're not used to even walking out in it. So they I thought the Dolphins had, and there are numbers out there that talk about Tampa and the Dolphins, those two franchises in particular. I'm sure it holds to Jacksonville too. They're 0 and whatever in history when the temperature's below 40.
Right.
Much
Right.
less
0-11.
0.
0-11 for
0-11.
Yeah.
See, there we have
Right,
Yeah.
right.
They had no chance.
Yeah.
It's
The
not.
Dolphins did not bring the heat to
No.
Kansas City.
They did
No,
not.
Would that be
but
fair
the
to say?
Chiefs defense was like, we're going to play a zone defense today and just shut out Tyreek Hill. I mean,
yeah.
they crushed it, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And Tyreek became a non-factor, which sucked.
Yeah.
And Waddle
No.
didn't show up. I mean, he had
None of them
9
showed up
yards.
because they were frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
exactly.
where I refuse to even buy schematic reasons being critical in that. That's a level. That's another spirit
Right.
competition.
Yeah.
The Dolphins literally get off the plane and they're like, they don't want to say it publicly, but they're like, seriously?
Yeah.
People live like this?
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts to be.
It hurts.
I was worried
It
about
hurts.
Mike McDaniel's glasses. I'm like, that's got to be
Did
cold.
you see Andy Reid's mustache?
Yes.
The walrus, my poor coach. I love Andy Reid. Everyone knows that. That mustache was just frozen.
Well, that's what when you,
Icicles.
when you grow up like that, the mucus in your nose freezes.
Oh.
Not to be entirely gross, but that's what happens.
Wow.
And so yes, if you got facial hair, it will freeze.
Wow.
Well,
And so Kansas City knows about this. The Chiefs have at least one game like that, and Andy had him in Philadelphia before he had him
Yeah.
Right.
in Kansas
Right.
City. You have a game like that every year.
Well, we can't leave this game without talking about
Melissa,
Miss
can you
Taylor.
come in and
Miss
fill our guy in here?
Oh.
We got
This
to
is our
talk
Taylor
about
Swift
it,
correspondent.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm here.
but you
Okay.
know,
Swiftie.
go for it.
Well, I mean, can we talk about her outfit
Well,
really
that's what I
quick?
was going to say.
Okay.
My 49ers are now in the know with the Swifties.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
So, do you want to tell her?
Well, yeah, your girl,
him.
your
Well,
friend.
my friend, we don't have each other's numbers, but her name's Kristen Jusek, Kyle's wife.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is an amazing designer.
Okay.
Doesn't have like a line yet, but I was lucky enough to get invited by shout out to Nick from the 49ers, and we went to the Women of the Niners.
Like a
and-
month ago?
A month ago.
Yeah.
And Kristen was there, and we had this whole like 200 women, and she gave a talk, and she showed all her designs. Amazing. Well, guess who she designed a jacket for?
Yep. Fast forward.
Not only she started out with Simone
Simone
Biles.
Biles.
Simone Biles,
Yeah.
the gymnast who's married to Jonathan Owens of the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
And that started this whole train.
Okay.
So then the next thing you know, Taylor's walking through.
And Brittany Mahomes.
yes.
And Brittany Mahomes.
Okay.
And yes, and an OG fit,
Michael said
and it
good
was
for
just
her. Michael, no. Mike, come
Good for the
on.
designer.
Okay, good. That's
Not for Taylor Swift.
I want to know a man's opinion on Taylor Swift and the NFL.
I'm the wrong one.
Why?
Because I'm old. Taylor Swift doesn't resonate with me. I would resonate. I mean, talent resonates no matter what.
Okay.
Right. And she's obviously not just talented, but brilliant in terms of guiding her career. And what I do now is really try to read pieces about Taylor Swift. I would not recognize. I don't know one Taylor Swift song. I can't tell you one song.
That's
Not
okay.
at all.
I love that.
That's okay.
But is she a distraction?
To whom?
As a player to Travis Kelce, do you think?
I mean, we're all,
Patrick Mahomes is saying she's part of the team.
I don't know about that. Look, people have to say publicly what fits, and you're not going to say anything publicly that's going to rankle, particularly this time of year.
Yeah.
Beautiful women are a distraction to us every day.
Like
Right.
Giselle.
Y'all are a distraction to me right now.
Amen.
I love
Okay?
it. Yeah.
So no, let's be real. So so Taylor Swift may be a distraction to some of the other guys. I doubt it, in a way that somebody else's girlfriend wouldn't normally be.
Okay.
right.
But we're distracted. We live our lives to be distracted.
It's like
by
Giselle
women.
with Tom Brady.
That's-
Remember back when that was a story, and
Yeah,
Giselle would come to the
yeah,
games, and she's a
yeah.
supermodel, and he
But
still was Tom Brady.
and I think women are paying more attention.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're paying attention to everybody's girl every day.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
And so if somebody comes in a locker room or somebody comes in a workplace,
Yes.
yo man,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
So don't think that we're always paying attention.
Yes.
Women are paying attention to who we're paying attention to because it's Taylor Swift.
Yes.
It could, if it was somebody who is particularly sizzling,
Yes.
we're paying attention, but you all aren't paying attention because you don't like her or she has an attitude, or whatever the case may
love it.
be. What we're paying attention.
Right.
Yes.
So the Taylor Swift dynamic is fascinating.
It is.
It's God. You brought up Giselle Bundchen,
Yeah.
who, there was not this sort of reaction because Giselle Bundchen, while she is worldwide,
Right. Different.
but popular in her own worldwide sense, is Taylor Swift. Obviously, there's nobody
transcends
like
that. Yeah.
Taylor Swift right now in the world.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Seriously, I don't know that I could, to save my own life, come up with a Taylor Swift song. I'm pretty sure I could not.
We'll send you a playlist.
You're right.
Yeah, we'll send you a playlist. Karma, Shake It Off, 22.
Shake It Off. Okay,
there
wait,
you go.
wait. I know what that is.
Okay.
I know what
See?
Shake
Shake
It
It
Off
Off.
is.
All right,
You know
That's
Taylor
it.
Swift.
There you go.
We've
We're going to
reached
make
our
you a
limit.
Swiftie.
We've reached-
MC will make him a Swiftie before you leave.
Yes.
But here's the thing. The good news is, and this was a big controversy, even on our page, when we talk about Taylor, we have all these people that love it and then all these people that stop talking about Taylor. But at the end of the day, she is bringing more fans to the sport. They are new fans, and we're here for them, right?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
here to teach. So we talk and
We
teach
want
football.
more females in football.
That's what we
you
do.
guys just are a perfect conduit and a bridge for people who, and look, football needs this. Football is America's dominant form of entertainment,
Yes.
but that's not worldwide.
Yeah.
And so Americans erroneously think that when they go somewhere else, and what they have to realize, if you're in Australia, people call it American gridiron, and it's a curiosity. And of course, there are some Australians who watch American football because they pick their teams, just like we pick up on European soccer.
Right.
And we have our favorite teams. Oh, I root for Arsenal. but we don't know. And so, I was speaking with a young woman from China at the Olympics in 2012, and she's talking about all these NBA and soccer players she knew. She knew them all. She knew all of them. And I said, let me ask you something. So if I say the name Tom Brady to you, so this 2012, this is now we're 12 years into Tom Brady's career, right?
Peak Brady time.
Can you believe it?
He'd already won.
Right.
And she, the look on her face was like, I don't know.
No.
Because American football that's
Right.
what it is. It's American football. It is not
100%.
worldwide.
100%.
Yes.
Taylor Swift lends an international
umbrella
credibility
yeah, right.
to
Absolutely.
it that I don't know that pro football has ever had a fan that has that kind of worldwide celebrity.
Definitely.
Well, and by the way, Kristen Jusek, shout out to Kristen, by the way, just amazing. I follow her, of course, and she had 87,000 followers 3 days ago.
What is she
It
at
is
now?
now up to 450,000.
I love it.
I mean, literally in 2 days.
That jacket was tight.
And wait, I gotta no, the jacket's amazing. But how cute is this? Kyle, who is a fullback for the 49ers, is literally the best husband in the world.
Yeah.
He is literally going to every social media thread and saying, "My wife made that."
Yeah.
I love
My
that.
wife
Oh, I
made
didn't
that
know
and
that.
tagging her. So
for him.
it's been a really cool thing. And let's go back to the Chiefs for just a second. That was the best game I've seen them play in a while. They have been winning, but would you agree they haven't been killing it? Something
not
has
good.
been amiss on the Chiefs as well. Would you agree with that?
Yes. You don't want to get me started on that.
Yes,
because-
I do.
No, you don't, because it's.
I do.
I've mentioned it on PTI a couple of times. The former Bears coach, who we just revolted against, went back to Kansas City where he was an assistant. He came from Kansas City to the Bears. He was dreadful after a great 12-4 season with the Bears, and dreadful after that. Andy Reid had him back, and he's a play caller.
Wow.
And so all of us in Chicago think we know exactly what's wrong with Kansas City. A guy that we had to stick with for 2 more years, dreadful years, goes back to Kansas City and becomes the offensive coordinator. I don't know if his title is coordinator, but he's play calling. And you're looking at that offense. How do you have that offense with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and others?
Pacheco,
And
right?
Pacheco and scored 19 points at home, 17
Barely.
points at home.
Barely.
So we think we know
Okay.
what's wrong with Kansas City. Certainly the offense has been broken. I don't think they proved anything against the Dolphins. We talked
Right.
about the Dolphins. Nothing. Zero.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens in Buffalo this week. Let's see what they're up
Yes.
Oh my God! I'll be going for the Bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be
sure.
going for the
Why?
Bills because I'm a Niner fan. I am so sick of Mahomes. I just can't.
Why
I
are you
can't.
sick of Mahomes?
Because I'm a Scorpio. You're a Scorpio.
for. Yes, I am.
Okay.
When is your birthday?
November 2nd.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you know who else has that birthday? Jimmy G and Jordan Love.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting, right? I know it's a weird fact. But as a Scorpio, I don't forget. And I don't forget, we should have had that Super Bowl ring. We should have had number 6, and the Chiefs took it. So
they did.
I'm not good with
You
that.
got a
Mahomes is
chance
ne-
this year?
We do.
Mahomes has never played a postseason road game.
Can't wait.
I
Yeah, I'm
think
excited to see what
the Bills.
comes of this.
Can't
I
wait.
go through.
Can't wait. And we'll see if Miss Swift shows up.
Oh,
But
she gonna
let's
be there.
let's turn the page.
Can we talk about
and
the
let's
biggest
talk about
disappointment?
the Packers
Yes.
and the Cowboys. Oh my
Michael,
goodness.
Michael, I need to know: have you checked in on your boy Skip and Jimmy Johnson?
Is he okay? Do we need to go do a welfare check?
Yeah, I know. Listen, I don't get involved in that whole cowboy. It's interesting. The fascination with the Cowboys is well chronicled, and it's going nowhere, and it's a legitimate fascination. I tend to just pay it no attention because I'm from an NFC city where we have our own franchises that's twice as old as the Cowboys, not nearly as successful in the last 50 years as the Cowboys. And I'm talking about the Bears, but my energies are sapped by other stuff. The Cowboy fascination to me, part of it is it's incredible because if you go, as I have, and covered the league for more years than I'm willing to say out loud, you go to every arena, you go to every stadium. The Cowboy fans are just people in that place that say, I'm a Cowboy fan. And I think they're, by and large, front runners who just show up at the arena because they live there. So if you go to Arizona for a Cardinals game when the Packers are playing, you see tags in the parking lot with Wisconsin and Illinois, and you people go to games. They go, they travel, they go to games. That's their team. They follow that. The Cowboys don't have that. They have people who just live there. Trust me, I live in Washington, which is the Cowboy hatred central for decades. And you see all these Cowboy fans. You're like, how is this? It's different. They live there.
Right.
They're just people who are there. They haven't traveled anywhere.
They don't travel
They
well.
haven't.
No.
They don't travel well.
No.
They don't travel like
No.
Buffalo Bills
Niners.
fans, like Niners, like Chiefs, like Bears, like Packers.
Bills.
Bills, Cleveland Browns fans who have nothing. They travel. They pick up and go. So the Cowboy thing annoys me, but I don't indulge it. I'm the only person.
I love that you feel that way.
I
It
don't
was,
love
you know
it.
how I feel? It was karma because I'm a Detroit fan and I'm still
for
bitter.
you.
I'm still bitter
Good
about
for
the
you.
Dallas Detroit game. So when
Yeah.
I saw
Oh, yeah.
that, I was like, you know what this is? This is your karma, Dallas. This is your karma for that dirty, rotten ending to the Detroit game that should never have been.
But Melissa, what was going on with CD Lamb yesterday?
No
He was
communication.
Zach and him
Right?
looked like they had an issue, and then Mike McCartney's talking to him. CD Lamb looked like he went to Baskin Robbins and was just told your favorite flavor is discontinued. He was just miserable.
He was pissed from
Why
first
though?
quarter.
He's a pretty
I don't
composed
know.
guy. I want to
Something-
know the drama,
it almost-
Michael.
It almost
The
seemed-
drama is they're not any damn good when it comes to postseason play. And, again, some of this is not strategic. What's up with their spirit? What, they're going to be able to put those guys back in the room and say, run it back? No, they're not. I'm not a CD Lamb guy. His talent is undeniable. But talent is one of the most overrated things in professional sports. What happened on Sunday? Did that talent, was it able to overcome the circumstance? No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Right.
I love this.
And so
Yes.
what is that? What does this mean?
Right.
That what was going on with CeeDee Lamb and Dak? You ladies raised great questions about that. So what's that dynamic?
because we
Right.
sense stuff.
Well,
right?
you can look, speaking of on their faces.
Right.
So I turned that game on and I'm listening to it go 7-0. And then I turn it on to watch the next drive to go 14. And their faces are already salty.
Defeated.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can talent overcome that? Does it? It often doesn't.
Yeah.
So I wonder about the Cowboys and what they're going to do.
Yes.
Well, the rumor is, Jerry Jones. And by the way, I give so much poise to Jerry Jones in his interview afterward. The first question asked was like something, and he was like, "This is the most surprising loss I've ever had. I don't know what to say." And then the follow-up was, "Where do you rank this on the worst losses?" And he could have easily said, "Did you hear what I just said?"
Yeah.
But he was like, again, like, this is the worst loss I could
Yeah.
ever experience.
Yes.
And the rumor is they already put in a call to Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll talk to Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And it'll be fascinating if that hookup happens. If I'm Bill Belichick, do I want to work for Jerry Jones? I don't know.
Well, Jerry Jones should fire himself as GM.
Oh.
He just seriously stop it.
Isn't his son the GM? Is Steven the GM?
but you know who's really running the show,
Well,
right?
they bring professional football people in. But talent's not the issue. He does. Their talent selection, their drafting has been fine. That doesn't complete the equation when it comes to winning. There are a lot of teams, the most talented teams often don't win. The NBA is the one sport where the most talented team usually wins. That is often not the case in pro football. It is often not the case in the NHL. It is often not the case in baseball. It's going to be fascinating to watch the Dodgers
Yes.
and what they've got with Ohtani and all these signings. Does that mean they're going to win?
It's a team sport.
Yes,
That's
it
the
is.
difference.
And there are other dynamics
And
that,
it's the
that
grit,
matter.
right? And it's the
Often,
grit. And that's what I was
yes.
talking about. And we
Yes.
talked about this during the season is like going back to Jalen Hurts. I don't see you going to the O-line and like, talking them up. I don't even see you on a tablet. I'd like to see you throw it.
He's
you just
over there
stay
sort of by
yourself.
himself on the sideline.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is a great eye you have.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to ask, and I'm not going to be at a game this weekend, so I don't get to ask. Well, Philadelphia's not at a game this weekend either. But there's, what's interesting is again that dynamic. I know players. I've had defensive players tell me that they hate when the quarterback goes and sits and sulks by himself. But then there are other guys who they know the personality of that player, and they're like, okay, he needs to get himself together down there and then rejoin. So what is the preferred sort of demeanor for the Eagles? Does this have anything to do with what happened with them in these last 5 out of 6 weeks? I don't know the answer to that, but it is a totally legit question observation. Yeah.
And the rumors were, you probably know better than me,
don't know.
but have you heard that there's questions about Jalen losing the locker room a little bit, where he's too to himself.
This is what you. That's a question I'd like to know. I don't know you're going to get an on the record answer that is, fully forthcoming. But even if you're working locker rooms like I did forever, you can get an off the record answer,
right?
That can really give you some sense of what a team feels about a guy.
Yeah.
Because a year ago I wouldn't have said any of this, but now with what's gone on and the inability to write it.
Yes.
You look to your leaders. You have to look to your quarterback.
And Russell Wilson had the same talk about him, right?
His was more open.
Yeah,
I love that about Russ.
I mean,
His was more,
he's a class act, and I love that.
It was more open about him too. I mean, the players who objected on Seattle's
and Marshawn
defense.
Lynch, your top running back, didn't even have your quarterback's number.
That's weird.
Yeah,
That's
very
weird.
weird.
Yeah,
So
that was Russ's situation was, it seemed extreme.
right.
But those dynamics, when they exist and include the star quarterback, there could be something to navigate.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at Jordan Love for a second here.
Right.
Youngest quarterback to win in a playoff game. Green Bay's coming in here playing with house money.
Yep.
They're like, I'm gonna figure. Well, hopefully we win. We don't really know what's
nothing to
happening.
lose.
Yes, those
And then
scariest teams.
he shows up. He's rallying his team. I've heard nothing but great things about him in the locker room. And I think it's harder to be a young guy who's like talking to a dude 10 years older than you and trying to amp him up.
It can be, and obviously Love is following some big shoes, some big footsteps with this whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Good for him. I mean, look, it's hard for me to say good for him. I hate the Packers. That's my birthright.
I know.
I hate the Packers.
Yep.
But Jordan Love, I mean, if you're the Packers, you got to feel pretty good about what you've done again. You went from Favre to Rodgers, and you apparently have gone from Rodgers to the next star in Jordan Love.
The way they develop QBs needs to be
and
studied.
the consistency of it is amazing. So good for Jordan Love. Now, I know you're not gonna be rooting for Jordan Love this weekend. I know
No,
that.
I'm not. And
He's
love
gonna have
to
a
get
defense after him.
I have to admit, watching that game, I was wow. Wow. They looked ready. And that was the one game I got wrong this weekend. I did choose on my pick'ems. I picked Dallas, and then I was like, well, that didn't go well.
You see Shannon Sharp just laughing?
My God.
He couldn't contain himself.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. I can't imagine how much money
and as a
was lost
Niner
in
fan,
Vegas.
Michael, I was like kind of like I wanted them to lose because we never go for Dallas, but then I wanted to beat them myself. So it was like a little tough thing. You know what I mean?
Well, especially Dallas had been so ordinary on the road that you'd want to get them. The team's going to be up for them. There's not going to be a letdown in the playoffs with a team that is well coached as the 49ers in that market. Although, I remember going to a famous 49ers playoff game against the Vikings that they did lose in a situation like that where, it was Joe Montana and the vaunted 49ers, and they were thought to be the favorite. They were the favorites.
Was it at Candlestick?
It was at Candlestick.
I was there.
You had to be like an infant.
I was young.
You had to be carried in by
He knows what we like
parents.
to hear.
No, my dad
Yeah.
had season tickets in section 35, row 5, seats 7 and 8. I have the seats in my garage.
Okay.
And I was young. I was probably 7 or 8. I know which game you're talking about because you know what? One of the first memories actually in football, I was in the stadium. I was still young, so I didn't really know what was going on, but I could feel the energy.
Yeah.
Next thing I know this had to have been the game. I knew it was a playoff game. The section was crying. It was
a big deal.
It was a big deal. I mean, the
loss.
whole section was just like floored. So I'm almost positive the game you're talking about, I just happened to be at that game.
I happened to cover it. But the 49ers have had some difficult playoff losses. I do not expect this to be one. I just think this week now becomes very chalky. That the Ravens, the 49ers, the Lions, and the Bills, even the Bills playing the defending champs, I think they could all win convincingly.
Then who's your Super Bowl pick?
Well, I said Ravens and 49ers
Smart man.
going in, but I'm looking at the Lions.
Oh, I mean, after my own heart.
Oh, here we go.
And I hate them too. That's a birthright.
I know. It's fair.
That's a birthright thing. But I did I rooted for the Packers and the Lions this weekend. That's a long story we won't get into. But so Lions having to go to the 49ers.
I know.
I don't know. I mean, that's a game. That's now the game I want to see.
Yes.
Most
yes.
out of all the ones that are possible out on the board, I want to see Lions 49ers.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Same.
Right?
I think it'd be such a great game.
It would be.
So
I think
fun.
so.
Electric.
And I, as a Niner fan, obviously I feel bad that we're going to beat them, but I'm okay with it. But I'm okay with it.
No, wait, you're not from Detroit. How are you a Lions fan?
No,
Explain
okay.
that.
So what you were saying earlier about how football is such an American sport. So my dad's from Japan, born and raised. My mom is from Puerto Rico, born and raised. They met here in California and had me. But I have no like familial background like that pulls me in any one direction. I don't have a story of my dad took me to games or I grew up watching this. My dad didn't grow up with football. He barely understands it. He'll watch it with me and, you know, he'll do his best. But to this day, it's something that he doesn't even culturally really understand the significance of. And so I married into a 49er family. And I, through marriage, became a 49er. But just as I've kind of this year, I fell in love with Dan Campbell watching Hard Knocks. He just stole my heart. And after that, I was like, I'm rooting for the Lions. And
she's got an Eminem tattoo on her back too. She hasn't talked about
Yeah,
yet.
and a Jack Harlow tattoo on the other side. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, now I mean, how exciting, right? How could
It's
you
very
not
exciting.
want to root
We're
for
excited for them, right? Detroit,
Yeah, well, it's
the city.
that is it. I just said this yesterday to Tony, and he said, "Well, how can you root for Detroit?" and I said, "Tony, I'm not rooting for the Lions. I'm rooting for Detroit.
the city.
I know what Detroit has been through. I'm a neighbor. When you grew up in Chicago, you grew up in Milwaukee, you grew up in Indianapolis, you're like cousins in the Midwest. You know what the rest of the country thinks of you. You're flyover territory, and New York and LA aren't paying you any attention. And so I tend to root, except when my friends are involved, against all the teams that are seen as glamour teams. But I know what Detroit's been through.
Yeah.
I've spent time there. I have family there. And people have no idea, if they haven't spent any time in Detroit, how hard that has been since the 1960s, and how hard it is to be a fan and call yourself a fan of that team
publicly.
Yeah, publicly, yes,
Right?
yes.
Such
Like
an
the Browns,
embarrassment.
Yes.
Look at
Like
the
the
other
Browns.
teams in
Browns.
Detroit.
Right.
And and Cleveland hasn't fallen upon as hard a time as Detroit, but close.
Right?
And who are the two franchises of the real franchises? I'm not talking about Jacksonville and Houston. Those are the other two. But of the two teams that have been in the NFL the entire Super Bowl era, who are the two teams that have not been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Browns and Lions.
Right.
So good for you that you adopted them. Good
and
for
we
you
let
not
her.
being a front runner.
Right?
Very
right?
impressive.
Thank
And
you.
you
Very
know,
impressive.
Coming from you.
Very impressive.
and when you see the fans who have had season tickets for 60 plus
66
years
years, that man.
and have tears in their eyes, I'm with it.
Right.
Well, listen, being a Cubs fan, I completely identify with that and understand what that is like. That was 100 years. Nobody was alive that we knew. we had people crying, but they hadn't been at the last game. And so my mom was 93 years old, and one of the things that she wanted to see before she died, stated, was, "I want to see the Cubs win before I die," and she did. But the Lions are now that franchise that, you know,
give them one. Like
it's been
Detroit's
60,
hope.
It's not gonna. You guys, we can't.
66 years.
We can't because the Niners need number 6. I'm happy for
But
you
the
to go.
people of Detroit need something. The Pistons are the worst team in the NBA. The Red Wings, they're in a playoff drought.
They're
The
gonna
Tigers
stop.
are in a drought. Come on.
I'm happy for Detroit, but their train stops in Santa Clara.
Oh boy.
Now I know I gotta be real about it, but I know you have
How do
your.
you feel about a team in Santa Clara, by the way, as opposed to Candlestick?
I will be honest with you. So my dad passed the year that Candlestick.
sorry.
No, thank you. My dad passed the year that Candlestick was also demolished, and so it was like an end of an era. And it took me 2 years. I just couldn't go to a game.
I can understand that.
And then when I finally went to Levi, I love you 49ers, and I'm gonna get in trouble for it. It's just different.
It's not.
It'll never be the same.
I know.
And I will not lie to you. When I went to the game, if you sit on the wrong side,
The sun fries
oh my
you,
God,
doesn't it?
you right? I'm like, who designed this? But
The stadium should be down where Chase is and where the ballpark, the baseball. It should be right there in San Francisco. One of my favorite
Beautiful
cities on
ballpark.
earth.
but Michael, don't you think we should be on the sidelines of the Niners? I mean, like, I think we should be on the sideline.
You're
Like
not on the sideline.
I do. I need it.
Why?
Just one game. I need
We
to
would
be on
need
the
someone
sideline.
pulling Monica back like a coach. You know, they have the guys that pull her
So
back.
you haven't. So you've
I've
never been
never-
on the sideline.
never.
Let me tell you, the most overrated place you can ever be.
'Cause you can't
in a football,
see?
You can't see a thing.
That's what
I
I'm
agree.
afraid of. And I'm
can't.
small.
You can't. You don't want to be on the sideline. It's just not worth it. It's not like being courtside for basketball.
That's true.
You want to be at a perch where you can look down on the action. And that I've been on the sideline. I'm gonna make you jealous now for a second.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was standing in the
you
feet,
say
toes
what I
at the
think,
end zone
Go ahead.
when not Steve Young, was it Garcia or Young? I guess it was Steve Young. Hit T.O. with
Steve
that
Young.
pass where he gets crunched.
Yes.
I was
The catch
standing
too.
feet away from T.O. I could hear the air come out of him
No way.
when he caught that pass. And so there are times where being down there, you can get a rise out of it, but you don't want to be down there.
No.
No.
Well, I know you have a show to do, but
do.
can we ask you a couple more things?
Sure.
First of all, as a fan, because we know you're an amazing broadcaster, and
Thank
you just
you. That's way
no,
too kind
really,
of you.
truly. But as a fan, what was like maybe one of your favorite moments? Whether it was part of the Bears or meeting somebody,
Oh, God.
like, do you have that
there's
one
like
moment?
too many. There's not one. I'm too old, and I'm lucky in that this career basically is a pass behind the velvet rope.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pass behind the curtain. You get to see how, it's they pull the curtain back, and you can step back there, and you get to see everything.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's a lot of good, and there's a lot of stuff that has changed my life. The things that you see and have access to, and the people that you have access to. One of my favorite people that I've gotten to know in 43 years of doing this is Steve Young. And there are a few other 49ers, Guy McIntyre. There's several, actually. It was a really a fascinating group of people. But yeah, I covered Michael Jordan's whole career, all of it, every game.
Oh my God!
When he came back, I got a satellite dish so I could see every game that he once he came back from retirement, and so I got to see that stuff up close. So when you get to do that, I'm unable to sort of separate.
Yeah.
I was there when I was there on the field in Cleveland when the Cubs won, which I rooted for my whole life and hadn't seen. So there's
just so many.
There's a lot of it.
I mean,
some involve my hometown team, some don't.
right,
The Olympics. I've seen
Yeah.
moments that will bring you to your knees.
Oh my
that will make you weep.
right,
Weep.
right.
They've all happened. The Olympics have had the most emotional moments just pure emotion,
Right.
that I've ever witnessed.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you get to see if you can be behind the velvet rope.
I can't imagine if we could we just be on his pocket? For the
Yeah,
last
bring us
year,
with you,
on
bring
his
us with
shoulder. I can't even imagine. Well, I know you have to go, but before we leave, we should talk about one thing, and that is the Rams and the Detroit Lion game. Puka Nacua, rookie.
I thought he was going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he has no shot.
Oh,
Okay.
but let's hear why, Michael.
Okay.
Who's it going to be?
hear why.
Is it going to be C.J. Stroud?
Yes.
Yes.
It might be unanimous.
Are you voting?
But
Are you voting?
I don't vote anymore in any football stuff. I do go for basketball. Let me just tell you this though, Puka Nacua is amazing, amazing. He's a great player. But C.J. Stroud to come in and play like he's played, I sort of expect the voting to be close to unanimous.
Okay. Yeah.
It'll look like the numbers will be skewed, and it won't reflect. This kid is great. Nicole's great.
Yeah.
And
Shout
where's he
out
from?
to
Where's he
Rancho
from?
Cucamonga High School. CJ Stroud went to my
wow.
high school.
Oh, wow.
And so, he played for our high school, and then he went to, obviously, Ohio State. But it's just, he's our literal hometown hero. I mean, to see him and the adversity he went through, and he talks about living above a storage unit in Rancho Cucamonga with his mom.
Amazing.
And,
His dad.
his not having a father figure. His dad
The
being
C2
incarcerated.
test.
Yes. So it's just, I'm like, yes, CJ
Guy
Stroud,
came in with a chip on his
represent.
shoulder and said, "Get off."
That's an amazing story.
Represent. Yeah, we're
And
so
and he
proud.
just seems like a nice guy.
So humble.
It
The
just-
humility just
And you're
comes
happy
out of
if you're
him.
anybody except the Carolina Panthers, who seem to have gotten
Oh,
You know what? That's
Could
what
you
they get.
imagine?
seem to have gotten
They passed on CJ Stroud, and this is now.
It's
the
not Bryce Young's
expectations.
fault.
No, it's not. No, it's not his
No,
fault.
it's not his fault, but-
They passed on him. It's
He
the
talked about
organization.
a really nice kid, Bryce Young is.
we're talking about the young kids, but what did you feel about Flacco coming off the couch, eating Doritos, and now he's in the playoffs.
That was a good story. And I live 40 minutes away from Baltimore. And Flacco obviously made his bones there, and nobody thought we were going to see Joe Flacco. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, was it a year ago? Whenever he was with the Jets.
A couple years ago.
Like,
2018.
Joe Flacco still in the league? And so it's a great story. But, I thought that, he was going to turn into a pumpkin. It's just, you can't keep it going forever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It was a great story. If he keeps it, let me just say this. If Joe Flacco had gotten that team to a Super Bowl, and again, Cleveland, I mean, they haven't been, their story is very similar to Detroit. To me, it would make him Hall of Fame worthy. He's already won one.
Right.
If he got to a second one, it'd be sort of like Kurt Warner, and he did not have the career Kurt Warner had. But going to a Super Bowl with that franchise, coming off the bench, eating his Doritos off the sofa, to do it would have made him. And I used to vote for Hall of Fame. I do not anymore. Mm-hmm. I know in that room I would have been saying, "What about Joe Flacco?"
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And another Scorpio moment. He beat my Niners. Remember the Harbaugh Bowl?
Oh yeah, yes, the brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Lights out.
Can I ask one more thing about your Bears? What would you do with Fields? What would you if you had the power?
This is the obsession of.
Oh my goodness.
This story. Look, Chicago's an old sports city. The Bears are the flagship franchise.
Right.
The second franchise, I guess, in the history of the league, 100 years old, and we debate everything, but yet nothing has been as divisive
as Fields, right?
I mean, Cubs, White Sox, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, everything.
You hear the fans
and he's
shouting his name.
We're screaming. So in families,
yes.
My brother and I shout at each other on group text every day.
Yep.
Right?
All caps.
All caps.
All caps.
All caps all the time. So I want this to work with Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. I want this to work with him.
Okay.
But here's the conflict I have. Okay, so I want it to work with Fields. I think it can. I think coaching is the difference with what can make it work with Justin Fields. And I was for firing Luke Getsy, sorry.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was a good step in the right direction. We need the kind of offensive coordinator that can pull out of Justin Fields what I think is in there.
Right.
Now, if we don't keep Justin Fields, we draft Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams went to my son's high school.
His high school connection.
Yeah.
There's something.
So I know Caleb Williams and his dad.
Wow.
His dad and I have been buddies now for a few years.
Wild.
I love his parents.
Yeah.
And don't you live next door to the president of the Bears or something like that?
We're neighbors.
You're neighbors.
We're neighbors.
Can't you just go over there and
No, I
Go fix
steadfastly
this.
have not
Bake some cookies
have not
and
reached out. He's got
Grill him the
a
steak.
hard job. The only thing is, I just wanted to get it right. But the reason I said I want it to work with Justin.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be angry if we have a kid I know from my son's high school. I'm not going to be angry about that.
Who you
Yeah,
know
you
He's a
deserves
wonderful
it.
kid and a great player.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But this is hard.
I know.
This is hard. These decisions are hard decisions.
And Chicago fans, I would be afraid of upsetting the fans.
It's a
you
tough
know?
No. It's not. It's they'll get behind whatever
Whoever.
it is with the Bears. But right now, it's like, can we get this done with Justin Fields and use those picks to enhance what he's got
And Eberflus?
and not start over? I wasn't in favor of keeping Eberflus in November. But he sort of played his way into a battlefield promotion in my mind.
Okay.
Right.
The defense got better. The players talk about liking to play for him.
That's a huge deal.
And
That's
so
a huge deal.
I've learned being in locker rooms all my life. Sometimes locker rooms evolve. Sometimes they change.
Right.
Sometimes guys become convinced. Yeah, this dude.
Yeah.
And you
Like the
gotta
Raiders
sort of
with
pay
AP.
attention.
Yeah.
The Raiders
And
with AP, they love him.
I gotta ask
gotta
one.
ask-
You gotta let me ask one. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with the wild card. It is just about what the season started with, and that is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think the Jets are going to do with this man.
They're going to try to, because they have a bad season anyway, they're going to try to put him back out there.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think he still has it?
No.
That was my question.
But they're gotta do it.
They're going to put him back out there. I'm really torn and confused with Aaron Rodgers, who I got to know. So I hate the Packers. That's Okay, just worth restating, right? Hate the Packers.
We'll put that in big, bold captions.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes.
Yes,
I got
and
you. We're going to
so-
make you a collaborator on our reels, and we'll make sure that that's on there.
Yeah, but I liked Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I liked Aaron Rodgers for a long time, and now I don't know what to make of him.
Exactly. We're all confused.
Yeah. But they're not gonna. They're gonna let him. They're gonna let him start because they got what 4 seconds of him this season.
You're right.
So I think they're gonna.
Okay, you're right.
They're gonna.
They're
They,
gonna let
the
him play.
fans want to see him play at least one
Confused is
season.
the best way to put it, though.
But that is exactly
About him,
right.
about who he is,
And
about what he
Jen-
stands for or doesn't. I really like him engaged. Like we used to. He's a basketball fanatic, and he goes to basketball playoff games. And either in Milwaukee or San Francisco, I've sat and talked to Aaron. Talk to him on the golf course. And he's a really smart guy. He's he's a literate, well-traveled, fascinating dude. And now this other guy has emerged lately. And I'm like, what's up? What is this? What does this mean? And what we to make of him? So I don't know.
Ayahuasca and ketamine
Yeah.
are wild drugs, man.
Okay, 2 more questions, I promise, and then
I'm
that's
just-
it.
I'll be
We
quick,
gotta
I
let you
promise.
go.
I'm
Ready?
sorry, I've been
No,
long-winded.
we'd love you here.
I've
We
been
could talk
long-winded.
to you all day long. But everyone's talking about the MVP. If you had a vote this year, who would you vote?
Lamar. It wouldn't even be
over CMC?
My fantasy quarterback.
over.
Over CMC? Christian McCaffrey?
Look, he said it
And- okay,
so
wait.
vigorously.
And if Brock-
Christian McCaffrey,
Okay.
he's great.
Okay.
No, Lamar doesn't
Lamar.
have a CMC.
I know.
He has a lot of some good players, but if you this guy who said, I hope I'm attributing this correctly to Troy Aikman. If you are a defensive coordinator and you start to prepare for the 49ers, is Christian McCaffrey the first person you're going to prepare for? Maybe not. It's an ensemble, right? You've got all of it.
Right.
It's not the quarterback. It's not Brock Purdy either, but it's an ensemble. It's IU.
It's collectively.
It's Debo.
Right.
It's Christian McCaffrey.
Kittle. Right.
But if you're preparing for the Ravens, who's the first person you're going to prepare
Lamar.
That's a great way to look
So
at
it's
it.
Lamar.
And I like
Quarterback.
that. That is
I stole it from, I think it's from Troy.
I love that.
I wish it was my original thought, but it wasn't.
And the last question out of the 4 games ahead of us, which one are you most excited to see and why? And then we will let you go, I think.
Niners Packers.
Yes!
Because I'm an NFC kid. I grew up in NFC City. And I have spent so many emotional moments with the Packers, wrestling with the Packers. And then the 49ers, I've spent more time covering the 49ers than any team other than the Washington team when I was doing that. But the 49ers, is that right? The 49ers. I spent more time with the Niners and the Cowboys as a sports writer. And I have a sense of the 49ers and what they mean to San Francisco and how that plays out and what it feels like on a Sunday. And the tailgating is not as good as it was at Candlestick.
100%.
It's not as good.
Right? Amazing.
It's not as good. But I spent time, I got to watch Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jerry Rice. And it affects how I feel about sports.
Right.
So to me, there's no football team out there today that is close
I
to
love
the
it.
49ers, the vintage Niners.
I love
That's
it.
just my personal
That's high
bias.
praise.
No,
So-
I'll take that
And
personal
from a
opinion
Bears
all
fan.
day long. And if you had money on it, who is going
I
to
am not a
raise
betting
the
person.
Lombardi? Who do you think? Ravens, Niners?
I
My boys?
I got it down to Ravens Niners. I haven't gone further than that. I haven't thought about it. I think that great players emerge, and maybe it's Lamar Jackson's time, maybe. And maybe it's CMC's time the next year as Purdy gets a year older and is further from the kind of young mistakes that he might make in a championship game. So God help me if it's the Packers. I may just throw myself onto
you and me
railroad
both.
tracks.
You and me both. We'll both be on the tracks.
Yeah, we'll be on track.
No, it won't happen.
Well, I think it's going to be the Niners.
Are
As
you
know.
like this about the Warriors?
I love the Warriors.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
just checking.
That's
She's
whole
a
nother-
big Draymond Green fan.
I'm a Bay. Giants.
Okay, good for you.
Warriors, Niners. My dad would have it no other way.
Good for you and
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah. And by the way, he is smiling down,
Yes,
going,
I'm
"Wow, I
sure.
cannot believe you are talking." He loved you, by
Oh,
the way.
that's
So
kind. That's very
again,
kind.
from Sanaz, M. Shay, Diana, we say thank you for being
ladies.
on
Michael
the football.
freaking Wilbon.
What?
Thank you for
Football is
having
sexy.
That is so nice of you.
Yes.
So great of you.
Will you
Thank
come
you.
back?
Yes.
We have it on film.
Yeah.
Got it on tape.
You said yes?
Yep.
All right.
Before it was just I hadn't met you ladies yet. It's just I can't say no to Diana. Now I can't say no to any of the four of you. So
Yay!
So there we have it.
And we are here for you. So if you ever need anything, the Ice House, Johnny Boss, we got you. If you want tickets, we got you.
Thank you. Ice
Thank
House,
you
okay.
for
They hold you to
making.
that.
Let's watch part in the interruption after this, guys.
Everybody, make sure you go watch Part in the Interruption. And as always,
5:30 Eastern.
keep it sexy. And one time, can you just tell me, do you agree football is sexy?
You ladies are making it that way. I didn't think of it that way before, but I mean, I'm not going to sit on this set with the four of you and think no. That's
right.
not happening.
Okay.
So yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You heard it here, guys.
You
Now,
heard
if I
it
was
here.
with four guys, I'm going to say no because it wouldn't be to me. But I'm not with four guys.
No. three girls, and four with
beautiful
Diana.
women.
So
Beautiful, bright, insightful, sports fanatic women. That's
You guys show them the
pretty hot.
Instagram comment we got
which one?
about how women belong in the kitchen. And we should
I was we were told to go back to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Joke's on you, sir. I have a TV in my kitchen.
Yes. And if you saw me in the kitchen, you'd say, go back to football. So we're good. Again, as always, keep it sexy. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh,
So
Mike.
much fun.